This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome aboard for the Sunset Safari, and a special, very warm welcome to the kids from the USA, UK, Netherlands, Austria, Spain, and Germany. Hello, everyone. It's me. My name is Trishana, and I've got Darby on this afternoon. We are very, very excited because I have a spring in my step, and I think that Wendy, the vehicle, has a spring in her tires too. And Darby, you've got a spring in your step too. We feel some magic. So I think it's going to be a good afternoon out. Now it's about 30 degrees Celsius or 86 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's pretty warm. I'm not expecting too much predator movement just yet, but I think there'll be lots of other little things, much like that tree squirrel that you just saw. We have them all over camp. Now kids, if you've got questions about the squirrel, about anything that we see out here, remember you can send your questions to kidsquestions@wildearth.tv, and we would love to chat to you. You can ask us anything you want. On a hot day like this, I like to have a look for some elephants, especially playing in the water. Well, there's another large animal that we get out here. It seems that Rowan at andBeyond Ngala wants to say good afternoon from himself and also show you that animal.
Going live. Good afternoon, everyone, and of course, very good afternoon to all the kids. So, we have decided to start off slowly. So we came to Clara Dam to see what's around, what's drinking. The other afternoon we had about 60 elephants coming to this particular dam to drink, and there was a buffalo on the side, and it seems to be the exact same buffalo. And I'll be honest, probably not the worst day. It's just chewing its cud and swimming or cooling down in the water, which is quite nice. And you can see the little dots behind him. Those are a few hippos. Yeah, so we have started with two of the larger animals we find here. I kind of like watching buffalo. They're always, we've been sitting here for quite some time, and so every now and then he'll just give us a look, and it's always that type of look that he gives you, it's like you owe money or something, kind of giving you dirty looks. Emma, who's 8 years old, wants to know what time of day is the best time to see lions. So Emma will move away from the buffalo for now. Lions are mostly nocturnal, so cooler times of the day. You'll find them early mornings, late at night. It's the best time. They'll start waking up, yawning, stretching. Majority of the time they'll go hunting nocturnally, so at night time, or again, cooler times of the day. It's just because when they walk, it expends a lot of energy, and of course, on a hot day like today, it's 30 degrees or 82. It's very, very warm, and you can imagine if you had to walk around here now in a furry jacket, how warm you would be, Emma. So they are better suited for hunting nocturnally or cooler times of the day, which is why we decided to start off here, let it cool down a little bit, and then later on we'll move back into the Timbavati riverbed and actually go back to the young Birmingham lioness and see whether she's ready to bring her cubs out again, or maybe not. Oh, he stopped chewing now. I wonder, maybe he swallowed his food and he'll start chewing again. Of course, they have 4-chambered stomachs, so they'll chew, 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 swallow, regurgitate, chew, 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 swallow, regurgitate, and thereby just getting the most nutrients out of their food. Mahita from India, age 13, wants to know, how do I know it's the same buffalo from last time? Mahita, I do not know. I said it might be the same buffalo from the last time because it's a male by himself and all alone. And he's pretty much laying in the exact same position. So I think he's just found a little comfort zone for himself. Although it's very likely it's a different buffalo. It's one of those species where in a herd, when you look at the facial expressions, they all look different, but it's very difficult, especially here, having no fences around the property, the amount of buffaloes we have moving around, so it'd be very difficult to say whether it's the exact same one, Mejita. So yeah, I said maybe it could be. Oh, I think he's dipping in a little bit further. Oh, you can see the oxpecker flying around, and look at the amount of flies that fly off him. Oh. Maybe you won't stand up. Okay, for now, James just wants to say good afternoon, so we're going to send you back to Djuma.
Good afternoon and welcome to the third of the Sunset Drives feeds, as we call them here. My name is James Hendry. BK is on camera. There we are. And, well, we've got a bit of a task ahead of us today. We have received notice from somebody on the reserve east of us called Torchwood that Thandi, our leopardess queen, and her 2 cubs have crossed onto Djuma. That's the reserve we're on now. Whether or not we'll be able to find them, I don't know, but we're going to drive very slowly around this area and see if we don't get lucky. But whatever the case, it is very good news that she's back here on Djuma. Wonderful stuff. For now, however, we have found not very much, but that's okay. We're still getting into our area. James, in the United States, the average temperature here in summertime, in the middle of the day, is about 34, 35 degrees Celsius, which is around about 95 degrees Fahrenheit on average, if there's no cloud or anything like that. And then in the mornings, sort of minimum temperature of 18 or 19 degrees Celsius, so pushing 70 degrees Fahrenheit. That's at the height of summer. That it's 30 degrees today is, well, it's not that unusual for May, but it's a pretty warm day for winter. So we're going to watch the ground very carefully, make sure we don't drive over any tracks. There are lots of elephant tracks around. Have you got? No, in fact, there are a lot of elephants around, full stop. Well done, BK. BK has spotted an elephant. It's a very nice start. We'll try and get a better view of these elephants. You quickly go to Trish.
Oh, I swear I had a bird. It was a lilac-breasted roller, but it is now left, unfortunately. Oh no, it's gone. Oh well, maybe the birds also need to find a nice spot of shade in this heat, like you were chatting about, how hot it can get you. I quite like the heat myself. But many animals, though they are used to the heat, will still seek shade. All right, at least we have a bird. Hello, it's a Burchell starling. Look how its mouth is open. It's got its mouth open to help itself cool down, like a dog pants. Anyway, James has one of my favorite animals. Let's go over and see.
We've left that elephant because there's another one just up ahead on the road. In fact, there are a whole lot of them. I think they're all around us here. It's kind of where we thought Thandi might pitch up, so we need to be extra careful not to drive over her tracks while we're looking at the elephant. Just up ahead here. Hello, Gabriel. You know, the elephants don't really have a breeding season as such. There we go. Why are they moving so fast, and why are they so spread out, and why will they not stand where I can see them? Gabriel, they don't really have a breeding season, so they give birth and breed at any time of the year. We'll get you a good view here, don't worry. Just popping up through this rather thick bush here. We'll get there eventually. You got another one? Where? Should we go in here? 2 o'clock. Do you think they'll be better? So we've seen 5 elephants, but none of which we've been able to get a decent view of. Are they down there? Ah, there we are. Okay, well done, BK. BK is on fire. There we are. There's a view of an actual elephant. Phew! This one is hiding behind a bush as well. What we'll do is just listen carefully, because I think there are quite a few of them around here. Wonderful. Wonderful shot there. Elephant relieving himself as he straddles a little, I don't know, precipice. Come on, let's go further up the hill here. I think we'll get a better view. Oops, the daisies. There are the others down there. This is very frustrating. All right, let's go across the road and have a look at his buffalo, and I will try and get an actual view of more than just 3 centimeters of elephant.
I'm still with the buffalo, and we've actually just been watching the oxpeckers pester it the entire time. I mean, they've flown into his eye, his ears. So imagine not having hands. I mean, we get irritated. Oh, now it's on his horn. We get irritated with flies, but imagining a bird going into your ear, your nostril, your eyes. You can see all the flies flying in front of the buffalo. It's quite a lot. But also the hippos have been bellowing. And I got an interesting question this morning from David, who's 14 years old, from the US. And David, I actually hope you're watching. But you asked why are hippos also known as river horses. So I went back and read up about it and nearly kicked myself for not remembering, because I remember reading this about 10 years ago. But so hippopotamus is a word that comprises of 2 Greek words, hippos, which means horse, and potamons, which means river, which gives you, of course, a river horse. So sorry about that, David, but there you go with your answer. I think there's either a bronze or copper statue of a hippo in Washington, D.C., and its name is, well, the river horse. No, they're not. Oh, there he goes, up again. Been rather quiet. I do feel sorry for this buffalo, though, with all the oxpeckers just milling around him the entire time. But I guess they are keeping him clean, keeping all the... Dabby, what did I have to do to become a game ranger? Dabby, there are various different courses, but I think the biggest is the Field Guides Association of South Africa. So everyone needs to qualify with them, do a level 1, in order to work in South Africa. But then with andBeyond, they have their own in-house training. So with them, it was a 6.5-week, what we call Inkwazi course, which was basically an interview process for 6.5 weeks, which we had 3 trainers, Brian, Seth, and Graham Vakale, who basically just sussed out our personalities for 6.5 weeks and figuring out whether you are a good fit for their teams. And then after that, you of course get placed at one of the andBeyond lodges, and I got placed here, luckily, at andBeyond in Ngala. And from there, the in-house training, the knowledge part started. So yeah, there's different ways of becoming a game ranger. So you'll notice also very different ways of being a game ranger. Of course, one ranger would differ from the next one and the next one and the next one. So like James, well, I've been waiting here for elephants to come down, but so far it's been very quiet. It doesn't sound like any elephants are coming from the east at all. So what we might do is do a quick little loop in the east and then head further west towards the Timbavati River and see if that Birmingham young lioness is somewhere out there with her cubs, which of course we saw this morning. It was very exciting. Right, so we're going to send you back to James with his elephants appear to be hiding from him.
Yeah, they are hiding from us, but they've got a little bit more confiding. Here's a big cow and her calf. Again, somehow they've managed to get behind as much bush as possible. But there's a tiny little one in there as well, and so I think we'll just sit here and wait, because here they come, they're coming out now. Christina, I think they might sometimes, they do seem to be able to tell when the camera's facing at them, but I'm not sure if that's not because, what's the matter, BK? I'm not sure if that's not because they see our heads turning towards them and therefore our eyes as well. So it'd be an interesting experiment to do, to look the other way and turn the camera to them and then, see if they perceive it in any different way. I don't really think so. I don't think it's a major thing for them. I think they do know the difference between the front and the back of the vehicle, and I suspect that's got to do with the fact that there are two great big eyes on the front of the car. I also think that they are much better at perceiving us in the back of the vehicle than we think they are. So you'll go on countless safaris where a guide will mouth the following to you as you get on the car. Please don't stand up. The animals see the vehicle as an outline. They don't recognize us as individuals on the vehicle or as humans on the vehicle. I think that's garbage. I just don't think they react to us in the same way that they do when we're on foot. So yes, you should never stand up, but I don't think it's because they don't think we're human beings. They don't see us in the same way, but their eyes are good enough to perceive us for what we are. And the reason I say that to you is that when you look, you definitely notice with some animals them following your eye line. Just like your pet knows where to look if it wants to catch your intention or find out what you're doing. It'll look at your eyes. And I don't think these wild animals are any different. Jude, that one you're looking at now, you can see its ear hole. If it just turns its head, BK will show it to you. There you go, that's its ear hole there. Right there. See? It's actually quite like our ears. Colton, it's quite difficult to tell how old an elephant is, and you basically just need a lot of experience having seen them. For the big bulls, when they are over 45, they're just so much bigger than any other elephant that it's obvious that they're over 45, and they keep getting bigger the older they get. And with the little ones, a youngster is less than a year old if it can fit under its mum's belly. When their tusks erupt around about 18 months. But otherwise, it's really quite difficult, and you need to kind of just spend a lot of time around elephants with somebody who understands elephants, and in that way, you might get to understand them, or their ages. You'll get a better idea of their ages just through experience. But they do grow throughout their lives, and so it's not that difficult once you've got an idea. I can't give you a set of rules that would help you to understand the ages of them. This cow is definitely heavily pregnant. You can see that. You can see that from the size of the side belly that she has. I think Kirsten was making a joke in my ear there, but I think if you look carefully, you might actually be able to see the baby kicking. Just focus in there, BK, if you don't mind. She says she wasn't making a joke. She did see it kicking. Kirsten is directing today's show, by the way. There's definitely some movement in there. Well, I think there is. I don't know if that's the elephant's tummy moving, or if it's the baby inside the mama elephant. That's very interesting. Hello, Daniel. I think I've seen herds of about 100 elephants or so. That's not one herd, though, really. Strictly speaking, that's a whole lot of herds. Maybe 7 or 8 or even up to 10. And you'll get them, especially in the wintertime, when water is concentrated in small areas. Often they'll all come down to drink at the same time. But you'll get much bigger herds than that in parts of Botswana, where they all come down to the river at the same time. You hear stories of people seeing sort of 200 or 300 elephants in one place. That's not a standard social grouping, so that those 300 elephants, oh, this is quite sweet, those 300 elephants will not be in one herd. I suspect that this is a young sibling of the little one soon to be born. He's probably feeling a little bit vulnerable, maybe jealous that he's about to get a little brother or sister. All right, we're going to have to turn round now, because our elephants have all gone behind us. So let's quickly... That's the little bull that we saw complaining because he's not allowed to suckle. Let's go now to Tishala. She's got a spider for us.
I do have a spider, and nobody's throwing tantrums around this lady, because she'll promptly eat them up. This is a banded golden orb-web spider. Isn't she just beautiful? It's quite nice to still see them out because it's getting quite cold now. Or at least in the mornings and the evenings. Slowly the days will start to get colder as well. And it's usually when we stop seeing them. And this season we've seen so many, which has just been great. And can you see that she's got 8 legs? So she's all intact. But her web has been a little bit destroyed. So I wonder if she will rebuild sometime today. Hi Karim, you're 11 years old and you're from the UK. You'd like to know if we ever see animals fighting. We certainly do. In fact, I'm sure today we may see some impala rams fighting. They like to fight quite a bit. You may see lions fighting, especially if they're at a carcass and they irritate each other. But most of the time animals don't really fight to the death, because that means that both of them might get hurt, and that's not what we want. Usually when someone starts a fight, they don't expect that they're going to get hurt, but both people involved in a fight can get hurt. So animals, they know this, and they decide, nope, we'll only fight until we determine that one wins, not till one dies. Anyway, I'm gonna let this girl probably try and rebuild her web. And while she does that, I'm going to send you back over to James with his tantrum Ellie.
Yeah, the Ellie does seem to be finished his little tantrum now, but I heard another one doing exactly the same thing. I'm just going to let them walk a little bit further down the road. There's a youngster that's a bit nervous. The young bull and his mother, who's very pregnant, are not nervous, but the one in front of them is a little bit skittish. You can see his bottom wobbling away in distaste. Yes, Lily, elephants probably do have belly buttons. I just can't remember ever seeing one. I think that if you were to turn over a baby elephant, you would see its belly button. It's called, it was the place where the umbilical cord attaches to the body. And the umbilical cord is what allows your mother, or all mammal mothers, to feed their babies when they're in their tummies. And so, yes, they probably do have a little belly button. It won't be like yours, though. Humans tend to have rather big belly buttons. Now you can hear them feeding all around us. It's a big herd, this. Might even be two herds. You can hear the starlings calling as well, in amongst the elephants. They'll be squabbling over bits and pieces that the elephants are unearthing for them. Magical afternoon. Also some drongos calling in there. Yes, Aaron, elephants can get sick. Absolutely, they can get sick. All the animals out here can potentially get sick. And interestingly, all of them are, much like us, fighting off parasites and parasitoids all the time. So little bacteria or fungi or even viruses and other sorts of pathogens. I think I've listed them all, so I'm not sure there are any other kinds of pathogens. Ticks, mites, all those sorts of things are constantly invading their bodies, same as they are our own, even though we don't realize it, and their immune responses are constantly fighting off these invasions. Sometimes, much like with us, they'll get something so foreign into their bodies that they'll get sick from it, and they might feel a bit rough for a couple of days. I don't think they get sick in the same way that you and I might with something like flu, or even something as topical as coronavirus. And that's because they don't move around like we do, and they don't do things like we do which would expose them to a disease that they're not used to. So they lived in this area. This is where they evolved to live. They eat what they're supposed to eat. They don't eat funny things. They don't travel the world carrying diseases with them wherever they go, which we as human beings do. And so when they do get sick, it's probably very mild. They don't have the same number of things that they get sick from that we do. And very interestingly, elephants have a much lower incidence of cancer than any other animal that I know of. Good, let's go across to Rowan, have a look at some zebra with him. I think I'm going to move on and see if I can find Tundi's tracks.
Yeah, so we're just going to check out the eastern boundary. These big open clearings known as Buffalo Flats, and we've got a dazzle of about 12 zebra here. And you can see the one baby is trying to drink from the mother. A little bit difficult to count. Quite a few of them have moved into the longer grass, and you just every now and then you just see a tail wagging. And I'm surprised that all of these animals are standing in the sun. I'm actually feeling a little bit sorry for them. It's very hot. I don't know if you can hear, but in the background there's an impala ratting. Like a belching noise. It was a horrible sound, actually. Quite scary. I mean, if you didn't know what it was and you were walking alone by yourself in the bush and you hear that, I think a lot of us would be freaked out. She lifted her head. And there she goes down. A large baby. Oh, big yawn. That was awesome. Vikram has asked how to tell the difference between a male and female. Vikram, for me, I find what works best is just to look underneath the tail, because zebra wags its tail quite often to try get rid of flies. I mean, you saw the amount of flies and bugs around the buffalo, so they'll wag their tails quite often. So the male only has a thin black stripe leading down from the tail to his tummy, whereas the female has a very broader black stripe going down. In a herd like this, it would most probably only be one male, only one stallion, and then the females all belong to them. I love it when they walk like that and the heads just bob. We were talking about the other day, and we haven't really decided what music do you think zebras would listen to. The other one's being lazy and he's just resting his head on the zebra's back. There we go. So at a stage, funny, they were all moving to the right, and now all of them are moving to the left, of course, with that head bobbing. Curse thinks they listen to punk rock. Stripy pajama donkey listens to punk rock. The old baby just leaped over the bush instead of going around it. That's so nice. All of them are coming together. Oh, there's more than 12. I miscounted that completely. To be 14. So you often find zebras standing like that with the head facing the bum of another one. And I think what it does is the tail of the one zebra actually keep flies away from the face of the other zebra, and vice versa. There used to be a theory that if zebras all stand together like that, then it's hard for predators to tell them apart, especially with the stripes. So that was one of the theories why zebras have stripes. See, a lot of them are now standing head to bum. But why are you guys in the sun? Very nice open spot. We often find a lot of plains game here. Plains game, well, zebra, impala, wildebeest. We often find giraffe walking through these clearings as well. I think Eric found cheetah here the other day. Very, very nice big open clearing. Very peaceful in the bush this afternoon, I'll be honest. There's a gentle breeze coming from the northwest. Otherwise, the birds are calling softly. But very, very peaceful day. I really wonder why they all just decided, okay, let's move left into the big open clearing and all just stand there. Annabelle from Joburg asked if zebras can jump like horses can. Annabelle, I don't think quite like a horse. I think a lot of horses are trained to be show jumpers, but zebras can most certainly jump. Absolutely. But of course not like a horse being controlled by a human. I think they tried to domesticate zebras once, tried to make them riding horses while riding zebras, and apparently their back is a little bit too weak to support the weight of human beings. Just arrow-marked babblers in the back now making a lot of noise, and of course very aptly named bird being a babbler. It does sound like they babble. So I'm hoping later on when we have the sun setting, we're going to go to another big open clearing. Hopefully we can find more zebras there. The beautiful sunset. Should be quite a nice sunset. There's not a cloud in the sky, so it should set right behind the Drakensberg Mountains, and you'll see it disappears so quickly. Okay, well, I think I'm going to leave these zebras, let them sunbathe a little bit, and then get us back into the sun again, and then start driving maybe towards the Birmingham Young Lioness. For now, we're going to send you to Trish just for an update on her search.
My search is going okay. We managed to find some lion tracks or a set of tracks for a male on its own walking in an easterly direction. And we know that the lion pride that we get here, the Djuma Pride, they have gone west. So I wonder if one of the males who hold a larger territory turned around and came back east. But the tracks are not very, very fresh. They're at least probably from last night. But lions don't do much in the day, so maybe if it was from early in the morning, he could be lying somewhere. So I'm here on the northern boundary, just having a look. But like I said, the tracks aren't very fresh. It just seems strange that he was heading in an opposite direction of everyone else. Hi, Benedict. You're 14 years old from South Africa, our very own country. You'd like to know how many lions do we have in the reserve. I'm going to tell you the numbers of the predators that we have in the reserve. Well, rather not just our reserve, but the census. The census is when people go around and collect different data on the number of animals. In the last census that the Kruger National Park had done, which joins this park and this reserve, so they do a census fairly often, and they say that there's about 16,000 lions, 1,600 lions. And then when it comes to leopards, we have about 2,000, but Sabi Sand, this particular area, has the highest density of leopards. That means the highest leopards within a particular area, highest number of leopards. Also has the sighting, or the largest number of leopards that ever been in one sighting. I'm going to keep on going along here and then around the fire break, just to double check that we didn't get a lion. And then I'm going to send you over to James and the little grebe in the meantime.
We're at a waterhole here where our second pair of little grebe chicks is doing different things. One of them is on the nest being lazy, the other is swimming around. And I know it's difficult to see because they're underneath this tree, but they're around in there. You can see the little one and one of the parents there. Hello, Gabriel in the United Kingdom. I do indeed do private safaris. Why, do you want to come on one? You can come on one with pleasure. You can find out the options on my website, jameshenry.co.za, very original website. Anyway, you can find out there about the safaris. We've got one going in November this year, hopefully, and that's in South Africa, and then one in South Africa and one in East Africa next year. There's a set departures, and then if you want to organize your own departure or your own location or your own safari, we can also do that for you. So Gabriel, get on the blower, tell me where you want to go, and let's go. Oh, they're too sweet, these little things. I don't think that they built this nest. In fact, I'm fairly sure that this is the fallen nest of a red-billed buffalo weaver that they have modified. There are only two babies, right? Yes, they're now both on the nest. That's the two babies. So normally they'd build their own nest, of course, but they didn't have to here because this tree was kindly for them, not so kindly for the tree, pushed over by elephants not too long ago. And with it, the red-billed buffalo weaver's block of flats became flooded. What is now the home of the little grebes. Gabriel, you've replied and said you would like to come on safari with me. Well, let's organise it. Come on then. As soon as the airlines open up, come out here, let's go. You just pick the place. Chloe, they lay up to 5 eggs at a time, normally spaced by a few days, and I don't know how many this pair laid this year, but the one at the other waterhole that we've been watching laid 4, but only 2 hatched. And apparently that's not that unusual. I think the other 2 were eaten by something, probably those water monitor lizards. Lovely sounds coming from around the place. Gentle, soft puffing of the hippos, an oriole in the distance. Sorry, you are hearing a little rubbing on my lapel microphone because of my hat, and that's because I'm trying to use my binoculars to scan around. I apologise for that. I've just been shouted at by Kirsten. She shouted at me. Now my heart is full. I'm joking, it's not, it's fine. Well, Alistair, there's a lot of debate about this. This particular one's very easy because it's already attached to the tree, so that wasn't very hard. Now, I've read 2 things about their nests. One is that they're anchored to the floor somehow, but I don't really understand how that's possible. So I think what you'll find, Alistair, is that it's just a collection of floating bits and pieces, so floating sticks and moss and algae and leaves and water vegetation that, is just not heavy enough to sink. Also, those birds are so... they're so light that, it'd be very difficult for them to sink anything, so it wouldn't take a lot for them to build something sturdy enough to hold them. But this one is definitely a modified buffalo weaver's nest. All right. Right, kids, thank you for your questions and comments. You may carry on sending your questions and comments, but so too can everyone else using the hashtag WildEarth on the tweet, otherwise the chat stream on YouTube or Twitch will allow you to get hold of us, send us your questions, your comments, whatever else it is you might wish to communicate to us about. We're going to move on from here. The sun is glaring into my face. I'm finding it slightly unpleasant. And we're going to move on and see if we can't find some tracks of Tundi the leopard. It's just because of the angle of the sun and the water. Not good. There we are. Fixed. No, David, I don't think that it is at all dangerous to go to a self-drive reserve. Well, I'll say that. It depends where you go. So, if you come to the Kruger National Park in South Africa, there are lots of rules, and the rules are very clear, they're very easy to follow. You get in your car, you don't get out your car unless there's a designated picnic spot, which has got a fence around it, and a camp, which has got a fence around it, and so the chances of you being ironed or wiped out by something are very small. Then you can go a little bit further afield. So if you go into, say, the Kalahari, where my wife and I have just been, and in fact, if you'd like to see our adventures, you can see them on YouTube. Second episode airing on Friday. Yes, that's what I said. You can go to my YouTube channel and see what it's like there. But in a place like that, it's not quite as well controlled, because in South Africa, the authorities are very afraid that people are going to get out of their cars and wipe themselves out, which is a valid fear. But you can cross the border in Botswana there, and then you can go and do what you like, pretty much. You're not allowed to walk, but none of the camps have got any fences around them. Nobody's going to tell you to not get out of your car or get in your car, or whatever the story is. So, you know, you can, if you don't know what you're doing, you can get yourself into trouble, especially if you say you're camping at night and you get out of your tent, and you hear lots of stories of people walking into lions and hyenas and that sort of thing because they're not being careful enough. So that's one thing. Then you can level it up even further and go into the Okavango in Botswana or into Mana Pools in Zimbabwe, where it's a total free-for-all. You can basically do what you like. Nobody's going to stop you doing anything. In Mana Pools you can go walking, you'll find lions, elephants, wild dogs on foot, and if you don't know what you're doing, it can be very dangerous, because while the animals are not inherently dangerous, if you step out of your tent at night into a pride of lions, or you leave your tent open at night because it's too hot, you're going to get yourself into trouble. The predator's going to give you a hassle. So it really depends on where you go. If you're not doing it for the first time, or if you are doing it for the first time, South Africa is a perfect place to start, because there are very clear rules, very clear places where you can and can't get out of your car. The camps are fenced and they are very safe to be in. Even if you're camping, you don't stay in an unfenced camp. So South Africa is a good place to start, and if you like that, then you go a bit further afield into Botswana and into Zimbabwe, and even further than that. In essence, I do think it's a good idea if you want a proper adventure. It's really great. It's a lot of fun. It's extremely funny camping with your wife of 3 days. It's quite a test of a marriage, actually. Now, Tundi is rumored to have come into this area over here. Dove, no, my main focus of going to the Kalahari was to see the entire desert, because I've never been there, and I've always seen these amazing pictures and heard amazing stories about the place. We did get a lot of great squirrel action. Those ground squirrels are very spectacular. There were 3 things there that we weren't supposed to see. I'm not sure if anyone saw them or not. Anyway, but what was very interesting about the time that we went to the Kalahari this time last was that they've had a sort of once in a 2-decade rainfall, and it means the place is green, green, green. It doesn't look like a desert in the slightest. So on one hand it was really nice, on the other hand it was difficult to find anything because the bush was pretty thick. So we're just going to look carefully around here. Christine, who visited us in our camp a little while back from North Carolina, says that everyone prays for my poor wife. Well, thank you, Christine. She appreciates it. She needs it. Now we must concentrate carefully. Let's go up to Ngala now and find out what Rowan's doing. Tundi came into this area and that's where we're going to start our search.
Right, so Marcel and I are having a lazy afternoon, really. We are actually just driving around now, waiting again for it to cool down. So at the moment we are heading south, and then from here, up ahead maybe like 1.5 kilometers, we're going to turn to the right, which takes us west, and then again amble slowly down to the Timbavati River. Of course, we need it to cool down a little bit more. I think that would be the best time to go back to the Birmingham Young Lionesses Den, and fingers crossed we get to see the 2 cubs again. This morning was just absolutely wonderful. And then of course we still need to do a fun fact from Marcel, since we skipped this morning, so I'll do a late afternoon fun fact a little bit later. Of course, keeping our eyes out for anything that might move in the grass or anything hanging from a tree. It'll be quite nice to see. Lots of old elephant dung on the road, but we haven't come across anything too fresh this afternoon. So again, it seems like no elephants on the property for now. Some giraffe poo. Jacqueline from the USA wants to know what predators would hunt elephants. So Jacqueline, here on andBeyond Ngala, not really anything. Maybe baby elephants. I know hyenas would probably be the first ones to try their luck with that. But other places in Africa, you'll find there's a pride of lions known as the Marsh Pride, and they actually specialize in hunting elephants. But the reason for this, the specialization, is because those types of areas have become so dry, so there's no other prey species for them. And it is quite a large pride, so to feed everyone, then they started hunting elephants. Yeah, there's quite a few videos of that on YouTube. I'll be honest, I don't really know if it's something I would like to see. I think the sound of an elephant dying would be rather hectic. And then yes, of course, it would take a long time. But I think if I had to put money on any predator here on andBeyond Ngala to take down a small elephant, I would say probably hyenas before our prides of lions. For now, our lion prides aren't really too big. I mean, the Birmingham pride's a big pride, but only 4 lionesses and 2 males should they join up to them with them. So I don't think really enough just to take down an elephant just yet. We're gonna drive past my house now, or the tented camp where I live, where Sean lives, where Marcel lives. Of course, we don't live in the camps, we've got rooms. It's only Marcel that lives in a tent. Missing the first names. I think Jethy and Charlie's asking, do we get other big cats here other than lions and leopards? So it depends on your definition of a big cat. We don't have tigers or jaguars that we don't find here, but I mean a cheetah is a rather quite a largish cat, and those I think would be the only three really big cats that you'd see here. Otherwise, I mean, if you go to smaller ones, we'd be able to see caracal, serval, and then even African wildcats in these areas. But I think the three largest cats would only be lions, leopards, and cheetah. Charlie? Again, cheetah, with the amount of lions and hyenas we have on this property, it's a little bit tough for cheetah to survive here. So they spend a bit of time on andBeyond and Ngala, and then they usually venture off. So it's not like they stick around too much. The old leopard poo in the road. Reason I'm saying it's odd, you can see it's been baked in sun already, so very hard. And we saw it yesterday from the cheating. Often find more zebra and wildebeest around these areas as well. There's actually a wildebeest here that has one horn, and it's the longest surviving wildebeest I've ever come across. So while we go slowly towards the river, we're going to send you to Trish, who's also looking for lions.
I definitely was looking for lions, but I think that basically I saw the tracks go east, and then I followed on the northern boundary, and then I saw them go in from the northern boundary. So it was as if, and between the fire break and the boundary, the lion moved like that. Small little strip, and then out and away, probably, because I haven't seen any sign of human. Where's the tracks for a male? But that male could have been dark-maned, the dark-maned evoker. He likes to hang out in the north. It definitely could have been him. Speaking of hymns,
Trish is gone flat now, so just I'll give you a shout when he comes again.
copy, thanks, yours.
From that part, right or left?
I'm just gonna grab that question from you again, Kirst. Sorry. I was on the Game Drive radio, and our lovely Impala here was also making a bit of noise. Hi, Matita. You'd like to know how... Ooh. Whoops. You'd like to know how we can tell it's a male lion tracks just from the... Or tell it's a male just from the tracks. We can do that because of size. Male lion tracks are really large. Now, female lion tracks are about the size of my hand, including one segment. It's about that big. Female lion tracks. Oop, there we go. And then a male lion's track is about the size of my entire hand. It's also the size of my face. That says a lot. And you are 13 years old? I think that's what Kirst said. From India, so it's the female lion tracks. It's probably the size of your hand, and male lion tracks may be a little bit bigger. Darby's not looking at his hand like this. And it's quite obvious. Obviously, when they're youngsters or juveniles, it can be a little bit difficult because a juvenile or a lion cub track can look like a leopard track, which can confuse you sometimes. But obviously, lion cubs are walking around with other lions, so you look for the tracks nearby as well. Let's go around. And obviously if there are tracks nearby, then you can tell it's a lion cub, but also the way that the empty space in a little cub's paw, the empty space, kind of like if I had to show you like this. So this is the paw, and those are its little toes. A cub has lots of empty space here. So when it steps in the sand and it makes the print that it does, there's a big bar of sand where its toes meet its palm. And that's how you can tell that it's a cub's track and not a leopard's track. A leopard's track would be flat. It wouldn't have a ridge of sand in between. It can go confusing as lions grow. Because they're both cats, they have a 3-lobed palm, so they can look very, very similar. Anyway, speaking of cats and why I was on the Game Drive radio, is that our friend Tingana has been moving around just north of where we are now, and we have been moving up and down this northern boundary and this fire break about 3 times now. Tingana is our dominant male leopard, and he looked like he was moving south from Buffelshoek into Djuma, but now we've just heard that he's gone flat. Can we see it from there, Darby? Yay! Ah! Pearl-spotted owlet. Oh, how cool is this? So the first one that you saw was a black-headed oriole, and it actually chased this pearl-spotted owlet out of the tree. I knew we'd get some birds, even though some were being untrustworthy towards the beginning of the drive. Isn't it just gorgeous? Looking at us very curiously. I saw a picture recently where someone had picked up the feathers of the owl that's on the belly and showed just how long their legs are, and it looked quite strange. If you want to laugh, maybe go and have a look at how long owls' legs are. Oh. Carrie, you say this is your first time seeing one? That's great, Carrie. They're super small. They're only about 20 centimeters at best, really. About 75 grams or so. Really small things, and easy to identify with the spots in the head. And also when it turns its head around, ooh, and it's gone. When it turns its head around, it's got 2 spots behind its head on the neck there, dark spots, false eyes. That was cool. 2 for 1 special. Anyway, and I'm now going to hang around this northern boundary, and hopefully Tingana will move across, but for the moment he is flat somewhere in Buffelshoek, but not too far. So I'm going to send you over to James in the meantime, and I'll see you in a bit.
So we've found the tracks where they came on to Djuma. We found where they drank at a pan. They headed into this block. And all around us there's very thick bush, which is ideally suited for A, stashing kills, and B, stashing cubs. Now there's a squirrel alarm calling just inside here. And it's not very stridently alarming, but it is alarming. And so we're just going to poke our heads around here. If it gets too thick and noisy, then we'll just pull out and try another angle. We found Tandy's tracks also on the road here going that way, and they're old, and that kind of indicates to me that there might be a kill here, that she's come to fetch them. There's a very irritable squirrel in here. I wouldn't like to go now on foot. Okay, let's press forward. There's a little bit of log stuff in front of us. Yeah, Rebecca, I don't think that Tandy has a lack of desire to share her cubs. The guy who saw them come in here today had an amazing sighting, and she very happily led him all the way along here, and then he just didn't come off road. So I don't think it's that. I think she just moves dens quite often. And remember that Tandy is an excellent communicator of her desires. And so if she doesn't want us around, she'll just tell us, and we'll back off immediately. PK, you will tell me if you see a leopard, won't you? Oh, good. Very kind of you. I'm going to get stuck here. Hello, Alyssa. No, we all live here when we're on shift, so we're all freelancers. And so when we've got a contract, then we live on site. You couldn't not live here and do this job. It would be impossible. All right, let's just stop here. Let's see if we can still hear that squirrel before we push any further. Let me see if we can see the leopard, actually. You can hear a grey-headed bushshrike going. Orange-breasted bushshrike going. None of it is alarm calling. Anyway, we'll poke around in here for a little bit, but these are little cubs, and they're not that used to vehicles yet, and so we don't want to push around too much. Stop and listen, very frustrating, but that's the way to do it. And remember that the cubs will climb at this stage, so it's possible that you'd find them waiting in a tree for their mum. Just looking around with my binoculars. Alarm calling bird off to my left, but not much strident calling. Kirsten says her eyes are seeing spots everywhere. Here goes the squirrel again. The squirrel is starting up again, just inside here. Let me just forge ahead slightly. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. I'll just look down over the edge and then get out of this area. Unfortunately, the elephants have made a lot of mess in here. Very unkind of them. not possible to do this with any level of stealth. All right, let's have another look down here. This is as far as we can go in this part of the world without mooring the vehicle here permanently. That squirrel is not happy. It is upset. It was shouting a lot louder before we got in here. Every time you make a slight sighing noise, I think that you found her. And I want to swing round and say, where? So when you go... Don't breathe, BK. If you could just stop breathing for a second. Yes, that is the skill, isn't it? Fran, you say you're loving his camera work because he's including you in the search for the leopard. He's actually also searching for the leopard because the camera lens is sometimes better than our eyes. Ooh, that squirrel's not happy. Now, if these cubs are in here, what would have happened is that they'd have heard us coming. And they'd quite probably have ducked for cover. But the quieter we are, the more likely they'll be to come and investigate what's going on. Even if their mother is just in the shade here, fast asleep. Yeah, I think we need to access this area from another angle. Because there is just so much bush in there. It's impossible to see what's going on. All right, let's get out of here. And what we'll do is try and come around that side and have a look down into this area. Right, in the meantime, let's go to Trishala, find out what's happening her end.
On my end, Tingana is moving slowly southwards from Buffelshoek, but again, quite far from the sign. Oh, hello. That is exactly what I was hoping for. I was just saying to Darby, it'd be nice if we had some elephants to spend some time with. Maybe an Eddie bull. While we hang around here in the north. This is a young bull. Still it's staying here. Elephants are actually so noisy. They can speak very loudly. We just can't hear most of it. Our hearing range is between 20 to 20,000 hertz. Elephants do most of their communication between about 14 and 35 hertz. So they could be chatting away. And we wouldn't have a clue. As I'm sure most of you know, we call that infrasonic. Things like a dog whistle that dogs can respond to. That's an ultrasonic range. Gremlin's General? Should I even tell him that? You say he's a short tusker. I'm just listening to the radio at the same time. He's, he does have shortish tusks, but I reckon, you can see it at the back, I reckon he's He's probably about 10 years old or so, maybe a little younger. He's got some growing to do. Oh, yes. Look at the digging with the foot. And oh, but sand. You're very aware of us, buddy. You're very relaxed, though. Beautiful sounds. So sweet. He rested his trunk on that branch. What he's got his trunk on now is a round leaf teak. And elephants really enjoy eating that too. Most of the time they end up about that size, but in an area where elephants can't access it, they can go really large. Let's try and go round. What do you say? They're between the boundary and the fire break. I just see two though. Let's hang around here because it's a bit of a distance between my next entrance. And you'd like to know how long a bull is in must for. It's quite an undefined thing. When bulls are younger, they're in must for very short periods, maybe a couple of days to a week. And then as they get older, they can be in must for weeks, maybe even months. Because remember, they're looking for an opportunity to mate, and the best way for them to do that is to attract a female by being nice and musty. And the longer that they can do that, the better. But for youngsters, it could just be a few days. And they really get mating opportunities. Got a nice salad going on there now. Some grass and some round leaf teak. There is a vehicle coming, so I'm just going to have to move off the road. Ah, our elephant has moved too. Okay. Let's just do this while we wait for our vehicle. Oh, that should be sufficient space. You may not be able to hear, to see. Oh, yes, we still can see. Hi, Jasmine. You'd like to know at what age elephants, baby eddies, gain full control of their trunk? I mean, they always have control of it from the time they're little, but the problem is that they don't know how to use it very well. By the time they are well versed in... Oh, bless you, Darby. By the time they have worked on and practiced using their trunk, it will generally be about 2. I've seen about a 2... Hang on, 2.5-year-old Ellie that does pretty well with their trunk. Standing by, yours.
What's your log?
I'm still on Buffalo's cut line towards Gari cut line.
Yeah, opposite sidewalk, close by there.
Copy, I'll be turning around in a bit. Okay, so he's just said to me that that Tingana is close to the signboard, so we're going to have to turn around. I think that's awesome news though, right? Exactly, yay Tingana.
Jullie standing by? Hi, Jos, what do you have there? I've got Tingana, my Leopard. Cool, thank you.
Lots of going on.
Hyena.
Alright, I'm going to listen to the radio. It's been a long time since I've actually listened to the radio like this. I'll send you over to Road at andBeyond Ngala. Hopefully when you get back to me, we'll have Tingana.
Yours.
So nice to hear that literally everyone has such big plans. James wants to go to Tandi's den. Trishala's going to go look for Tingana. I want to see the young Birmingham Lioness. So yeah, should be a good afternoon from at least one of us. So yeah, we are still just slowly making our way there. You can see we are heading directly into the sun now, which means we're going west. And in a little while we'll actually drop down into the river and then take the river bed further west. Still, I mean, we were just discussing now, literally no fresh tracks of elephants anywhere, no fresh poo, nothing. So we don't know where all the elephants have gone. Maybe they've gone further down into the south. They certainly weren't in the west this morning when we went there. It's only a lot of impala tracks here, and then some Franklin tracks. Those ground birds, you'll often find them digging through elephant poo. Speaking about that, looking for little seeds and anything that wasn't really well digested. Of course, elephants don't digest their food the best. I think only about 40% of what they eat is digested, and the rest, of course, comes out. Ashok, that's a very interesting question. Who wants to know how many lions on andBeyond Ngala could potentially be man-eaters? Ashok, potentially all of them could be. You know, we've never come across a human carcass in the bush per se with lions feeding on them, but the potential is there for all of them. But yeah, I don't think we see Birmingham Pride too often to think they are actually man-eaters, although I think a human body wouldn't last too long with 14 lions chewing on it. So very interesting question. I really can't give you a straight answer whether any of our lions are man-eaters or not. But yeah, Kirst is saying in my ear, Ashok, if you haven't watched it yet, watch Ghost in the Darkness if you want to know about man-eaters, especially in Africa. Those two brothers were from Tanzania, and they started eating railroad workers. But in all honesty, I think a lion becomes a man-eater mostly out of desperation, rather, and I don't think our prides really struggle for food around here, Ashok, so hopefully none of them are really classified as man-eaters just yet. That's a very entertaining question. I like that. Actually, Sean, I think, said it the other day. He said, I hope the young male doesn't become a man-eater now that his leg is a little bit damaged. Speaking about which, I think a lot of you are asking for updates on him, and we just don't have any. Picky wants to see a porcupine. Picky, I Would definitely stop if I do see one, so I'll try my best to show you one. They mostly nocturnal. Sorry, there's some leopard poo on the ground there. It doesn't look too fresh. Just quickly look at that. If I do see a porcupine picky, I will definitely stop and show it to you. It's interesting with this leopard scat, actually that's the word for it, not dung. It is actually very hairy. So you can see this is, you know, whoever made it, probably a female. Let me see if I can find any tracks here. This is the kind of area, well, this is the area where Ngala female and Shitulala female, they overlap. But very, very hairy. So pretty much at the end of a carcass, or once the carcass was done, she probably made that poo, to take a guess. Picky wants to see a porcupine. Picky, if I find a porcupine quill, I'll definitely also pick that up and show it to you. I've not seen a porcupine now for a very long time. The last one I saw was actually in camp, rather than out here in the wild. Would be lovely to see. We were exploring a couple of old hyena dens the other day. So Yapi and Nikki walked to one not too far from the boundary, and when they were exploring this termite mound, they heard a bit of commotion and they thought, oh wait, maybe there's a hyena in there, and a porcupine came out. So I think maybe Nikki's the chap to ask. He seems to have a bit of luck from seeing porcupines. Louise, one of the directors, saw two last night. Louise, I hope you got a photo, and then please share that with Picky. Really wants to see a porcupine. Ah, yeah, we've got elephant tracks, finally. You can see they look like polka dots on the road. It looks like they're heading this way. Seems to be a breeding herd. Curse is saying Louise is the only one who saw it and she didn't get a photo, so now no one believes her. Of course, if there's no photographic evidence, it never happened. Louise, please do not lie to your fellow team members. I'm just looking down the river. The Tumavati River is just to our left here. And you often find majority of the elephant tracks have actually left the road, so they could be going down, dig into the water, dig into the river, the sand, to get some water. Okay, but for now, while we're doing this and slowly moving towards the Birmingham Yama, we're going to send you back over to Trish and see how she's doing with her search.
I am being a vulture.
Any luck on your side?
I am just hanging about now. So he did approach the sign and then he turned west. So now I am west of the sign, so he should be anywhere in this block to my north. So we're going to drive very slowly. We're playing Spot the Leopard. Ha ha ha! Do you get it? Of course you do. I'm just listening to the updates as well. But
No. We're talking about the main opposite sign. Oh, sorry.
I love when we're
No, I
not
realized
sure.
that. I thought you'd come down here.
When we're not sure if the animal's going to come in or not, we know that it's right there on the other side. Just takes a few steps in this direction, a couple minutes. I love that feeling. As you can see, it's quite thick. And we're still quite west of the sign. He only turned just west, but I decided to come down and go up, you know, like a vulture does, just hang around. So 50, you say Tingana and a termite mound would be a perfect right now. PUR. But isn't it just That would be absolutely perfect. In this light, Sir 50, it would be money shots. Woo! I hope that James will be as lucky as I am with getting information about Tingana. Let's go over to him and see how his search for Tundi's going.
No, I'm going to have to get information from species other than our own. Tundi, I didn't find anything. We did a little loop around. We drove down further along the drainage line. It's so thick. And eventually we just came to an impenetrable barrier. So that way in is not going to happen. We must accept, of course, that Tundi will bring her babies to us when she's ready to bring her babies to us. So I'm comforted by that. I don't think that we should be spending a huge amount of time bashing about in there. Just want to see if I can find you some nice tracks. Perhaps of the little ones. I think the rhinos have been all over here during the course of the day, though. So she drank in there and then went over the back end. Now, where she went from there, I'm not sure, because it's impossible to see tracks in there. But her tracks, when she went out to fetch them, come along here. See, I didn't know. She could have just drunk there, gone over the top, ended up in that side. Hello, Owen, aged 8. That's a good question. I think they are, you know. I don't know of any other animal that stores food for the winter. None of the carnivores do it. Maybe a couple of the other rodents do. Perhaps porcupines bury a little bit for themselves to keep or eat or snack upon during the late winter. But I think squirrels are the only ones. And they don't, you know, I don't think that they store food like they do in Europe, for example. They bury the odd bit, the odd nut here and there. They don't have great big stores of nuts that they go to. So I'm not sure if anything else does. In fact, I'm pretty sure that nothing else does it here. That's a really nice question. Thank you. We'll just have one sort of slow pass through here. Maybe she'll pop out for a drink. And then we'll move on and accept with grace that she will come out when she's ready to come out. Which in Tundi's case could be next year. So you say brown hyenas store food. There are a few animals that store food in pantries, and there are a few animals that, like hyenas, will take bits of carcass and go and put them under trees and leave them there, but not for the winter. So they don't make a store for the season when there will not be anything to eat. So absolutely, things like jackals, brown hyenas, even spotted hyenas will go and, if there's a kill that they can't eat most of and they don't want it to be stolen, they will definitely take it and hide it somewhere. Hyenas sometimes in water. Crocodiles do it in water. But as far as I know, that's not for a season. You know, it's not for a time when... It's not for a time when things are going to be lean. It all looks so clear when you drive along the side of it, but gosh, you get in there, ain't so. Catherine, there are lots of horseback safaris. Some of them are pretty dodgy, some of them are amazing. And I don't know how long you've been watching this show, but a chap called Philip Rusty Steele, yes, that's what I said, Philip Rusty Steele, used to work for us, and he is a hugely experienced horse guide. And they take, he's currently working at Swalu up in the Kalahari Desert. They take horse safaris up there. There are places around the Lowveld where you can do horse safaris, and you can do them in the Masai Mara. You can certainly used to be able to do them in Botswana. I'm not sure if you still can. Let's just go and look at this great big brown ivory tree. Absolutely. I've done a few myself, and they're quite fun. I've seen lions on horseback once, and I've seen elephants on horseback once. You probably need to be 16, I suspect, unless you're an extremely competent 14-year-old rider. But I don't think younger than that is allowed. I might be wrong, and they may make exceptions for some people who are really, really good at riding. I'm just going to look up in this tree here. For no other reason that I once saw a leopard in this tree. You know, so if you're a... What is that? Oh, this is part of the tree. If you're an exceptional competitive rider aged sort of 12, you can probably convince them that you're good enough on horseback to go on a horse safari. But I don't think you're going to be able to convince them to take anyone younger than that, even if you are very competent. Oh, it's elephants. Valeria's absolutely correct, of course, and I had this thought as I drove out of camp today. I thought that Tristan will almost certainly find Thandi on the day he gets back, and, you know, that's why she's come back today. She's come back to prepare herself and her babies for Tristan's arrival on Friday. Well, his arrival tomorrow, but his first drive on Friday. So, Valeria, I'm no longer jealous anymore of Tristan because Thandi likes him more than she likes me. We know that, that's obvious. And I think you're probably absolutely correct. That come Friday morning, you will find them splayed on a beautiful log with the golden sun shining on them and Tristan telling you all about the sighting. I had that very thought as I drove out of camp today. Here's an elephant. A young bull elephant. Hello, Mr. Young Bull Elephant. Please come say hi to us. And have you seen Thandi and her cubs around here anywhere? Have? Where? Please tell me. You say she'll show herself when she wants to. I know, but... You know, I have to leave on Friday, and I'd like to see her again. I feel like this elephant is looking at me and saying, all good things, human, all good things, human, will come to those who wait for them. Most of the birds that you can hear now are white-crowned shrikes having a little territorial dispute with each other. Tristan, of course, deserves to get Thandi and cubs when he gets back because he's been back, or he's been excluded from this by the COVID thing. He was supposed to be with us at the beginning of the month, the beginning of last month, but he couldn't be. And so really he does deserve a good fat leopard sighting when he gets back. And all of you are being very, very funny now, because I said I saw an elephant on horseback, and you were asking how strong was the horse. Well, the answer is very. I mean, an elephant's a heavy animal, you know, so it was a sort of giant Shire horse times 4. And even then it was struggling. The elephant's reaction to the horses was very interesting, I must say. It lifted its head up and it was very weary of the horses and almost gave us a bit of a rev, but then it kind of backed down. Karen, thank you. Yes, no one will ever have my talent. I'm not so sure at finding impalas, but finding sticks is a real talent that I have that no one else can rival. And I am comforted by the fact that my ability to find sticks will go unchallenged for millennia. Someone's always going to be faster than Usain Bolt. Eventually his records are going to be broken. Eventually the records of Roger Federer and Serena Williams will be broken as well. But no one will ever break my stick finding record. And that goes without contestation. Thank you. Slowly there's a whole herd walking towards us. This young bull is just one of a group. Hello, Mr. Young Bull. Having a little smell of BK's aftershave. I think he likes it, BK. I think he's going to borrow it. Hi. Isn't that cool? Look how carefully he's breaking off the green bits and somehow not ripping the skin on his trunk from that very harsh knobthorn. BK does have an Insta handle, and it is BK Uhuru, correct? BK Uhuru. BK underscore H, BK underscore UK HURU, correct? Uhuru. Now, let me just shift a little bit forward because there's a tiny little one coming out. There's mum and baby. I'm still looking in all the tops of these trees for Tristan's favourite best friend. I mean, I don't need to be her best friend, I just need to see her. But there's nothing more calming and pleasant than sitting in amongst a relaxed herd of elephants like this. It's very special. Here comes another group from the left. Oh, and a lovely woodpecker calling. Well, tapping, not calling. The territorial tap of the bearded woodpecker. Glorious time of the day. Let us now go to andBeyond Ngala, where my wife tells me there's something even more glorious awaiting you.
A little bit more. Okay, so my plan for the afternoon worked. You can see the tiny heads of the cubs and the mom lying down. So they're actually feeding from it. They're drinking from it at the moment. And so we came from the other side in the riverbed, rather far, and actually stopped and just looked through binoculars, and there was a surge of excitement as we just saw the whiter neck and chin of this lioness through the very long grass. So we drove up a little bit closer, and voila, here we are with her two new cubs. It is honestly, yeah, I'm speechless again. It is so exciting to have baby lions on the property. They are awesome, and I think from here on we'll probably just seeing them more and more and more, and they'll just become more playful and actually more habitualized with the vehicles. So I think soon they might actually come into the river, start playing around, tackling one another, stalking one another. It's that very cute and playful age of a lion cub. So I'm very excited. I don't think she moved the entire day. No, this morning we saw her carrying the cubs in, but we haven't really seen tracks of her cutting over to the southern side, to this side. So I think she spent the whole day here. I heard Kirsten everyone's saying, yay, cubbies, and that's exactly how we are feeling as well. See the tiny tip of the black ear, or the tiny black tip of the ear there, as if they're just drinking. I think at this stage their teeth are probably starting to come out, but it's not hurting the mom too much. Of course, as they get older, the mom would let them drink, but often she gets up with a snarl, because the sharper the teeth, of course, the harder they bite into the teeth, and it could hurt quite a bit. Still very up and aware of everything, all the sounds. I don't think they've spent too much time outside. Oh, it's a tiny head. Anushka has asked when they will be introduced to the pride. It's a very good question, Anushka, and no, honestly, we can't be sure. So we saw the tracks of the pride come past here, not too far from here. Actually very close to her previous den. I actually think she's deliberately, moving them away from the pride. She doesn't want to introduce them to the pride too soon. Of course, this is what we keep speaking about, is that this will almost be like new toys for the older youngsters, and potentially they could play with them too hard, that they actually break a leg or break a spine, or even just kill them outright. So I think she's going to try keep them away from them. Hopefully, I hope for another month and a half at least, even longer than that. Still very, very young. They're only about a month and a half old now. So I'm hoping it's not too soon. It's her first litter, and I must say she's done extremely well to keep them till now. Okay, so we're going to sit here for quite a while, but for now we're going to send you back to Djuma with Trishala. She found a mongoose.
Yes, we are together, sitting here waiting for Tingana. Unfortunately, he's turned west and is still in Buffelshoek and has gone flat. Luckily, we have this small version, at least it's a carnivore, to start us off, because I hope that soon Tingana will move in this direction. It appears that he is scent marking and all the rest, so he is doing a territorial patrol, and I can hear alarm calls actually in the block. So definitely here, and maybe about 100 meters north of here. But I'm trying to let him know that the light is getting low, and it's nicest when he's just sun-kissed atop a mound. But he's more interested in his boundary patrol today than modeling for us. And just imagine him walking through this really nice grass. This mongoose is just trying to get the last bit of the day's sun before it scurries back in on the west side of the mound, as you would think, because that's where the sun would be at this point. Hi Amishi, you'd like to know how many snakes a mongoose kills in a day? Probably not very many. They definitely do kill snakes, but they don't do so every day. It is part of their diet, but not a huge part of their diet. What they prefer to eat are insects and other little invertebrates. There's other things that have a hard skeleton on the outside, like spiders, scorpions, millipedes, centipedes, little reptiles. But snakes, as much as they do take them, and they definitely will, they don't take snakes every day. It's not a permanent part of their diet. Well, I'm going to, as you know, hang around here and wait for Tingana. While I do that, I'll send you over to James with a very playful Ellie.
Oh, I don't know how playful they are, but they've just come out onto the road now, quite playful. Throwing a bit of dust around. One of them thinking about being scary and attacking us. And this one does look cheeky, doesn't it? Looks like butter wouldn't melt in his mouth, or what? That's what he wants you to think. Like my nephew Jack. In his mouth, butter eviscerates. You want me to move back a bit, BK? Let me make this easier for you. Yeah, absolutely, Barn. Elephants here are completely used to the vehicles. That's why we're able to view them like we can. In a lot of places, you wouldn't be able to get anywhere close to this close, anywhere near as close as we get to elephants here. We are very lucky indeed that they are so tolerant of us, but you never take it for granted, because it could change at a moment's notice. Now, if you've enjoyed this drive, and, well, it's been pretty spectacular so far with those baby cubs and all the elephants, etc., please consider supporting us. You can do that by going to wildearth.tv/support, and anything that you can contribute to our efforts to bring nature closer to people around the world, especially during this time of lockdown, would be much appreciated. Young bull in front of us here, BK, doing some quite interesting things. He's giving me a real interesting look at the inside of his mouth. Not sure if he was trying to show that he cleans his teeth well or what the story was. A bit of extra gas. Still, that's the white-crowned shrike in the background calling. Smelling us again. Just deciding if he wants to visit any closer, and deciding that no, he doesn't. Quite happy where he was. Oh, it's so wonderful. Yep, Elizabeth, it sure is. Spending time with elephants like this is just the most peaceful thing you can do. I imagine being an elephant toddler must be a little bit like being a human toddler in a village where everyone looks after you. And I mean a sort of old school village, not a village in a Western society where there are dangers, and where there are no dangers really, because everyone's going to look after you. And you wander from little friends to friends, cousin to cousin, play with your siblings, say hi to your aunts, visit your mum. Some of you are asking why they slap the grass like that. It's to get the dust off. Get the dust and the roots off. Just to shake the dust and that's off. That's so special. To be allowed into the space like this is just magic. Oh, now we have a little wrestling match. Sorry about the antenna. I always tend to do this as soon as it's most inconvenient for the cameraman. You nasty little fellow. The one in the back is a little bit of a bully, except he's not bigger than the one in the front. Watch himself or he'll get beaten up by someone bigger than him. There we are. Exactly what happened. How do you like them apples, Sonny Jim? Not so fun being shoved around, is it? Oh, you want to come over here and try this side? Go for it. Come on. Are you going to pretend to eat a sandpaper bush, which I guarantee you're not going to like? I do. I like it very much. It's delicious. Now you're going to fight with a slightly bigger one. Oh, naturally behind the tree. I just don't want to move because I think we'll spoil the moment. Yeah, the bigger one's having none of it. Absolutely none of it. And get out of the way. You nasty little thing. Here comes another big mum. Very funny. The big car next to us now is watching with interest what's going on here. Babies are paying us absolutely no mind at all, but she's not that pleased that we're here. I've had an interaction like this with her when you were watching the lions. She lifts her head and then swings it off over to her left, again and again. Not in an overly aggressive fashion. Oh my goodness, look at the little things now. Look at them, BK. What on earth is going on there? And I think Mum feels very protective over them, but at the same time they're not vaguely worried, and she's perhaps wondering if she's not overreacting. Oh my goodness, this is amazing. Look at these idiots. Behaving like such children. They're just wonderful. Overprotective auntie who comes along and says you need to move away, and they're going, well, why? Why is there any danger? What danger is there? And she says, well, you know, they're people. And they're saying, so what? The little one just threw a trunk full of clods on his mate. Oh, this is just magic stuff. I'm sorry about the antenna, but really nothing I can do at this stage. We will totally destroy the moment if I start the engine. She sure did our alarm, or she shooed her toe at me. I'm not coming any closer. Just relax. The youngsters could not care less about us. In fact, the rest of the herd couldn't care less about us. Only her. Strange, eh? She's still watching us. Two guys are now playing down the back of the road. Oh, BK, this complete moron is now face planting onto the termite mound again. He had his face, basically he was biting the termite mound. Couldn't you do this all in front of the car? Why must you do it behind? I always find that the longer you wait with elephants, and by longer I mean sort of half an hour plus, the more they will start to, especially the youngsters, actually interact, come and see what you want and figure things out themselves. Exactly what this guy's doing now. Superb performance, except that it really is happening in the wrong position. Swing round, BK. BK is basically doing a 270-degree spinal twist currently. Do you want to come round the other way? Go for it. All right, let's go back to andBeyond in Ngala, where the most cute animal in nature is emerging into the riverbed. That was cute.
Very good timing. The mom just lifted her head, and it looks like the youngsters might just pop out on that sandy bit. I think you'll be able to get their facial expressions, I'm hoping. So what alerted her was actually one of these ground birds. It was a Natal spearfowl that made a sound, and she lifted her head immediately, looking around very cautiously in the direction where the sound came from. You can see one of the youngsters exploring further and further, moving away from the mom. Of course, if there's any sign of danger, it would literally just take one sound from the mother, and the youngsters would run back straight towards her, or straight into the den, really back to safety, the safety that they know. Really a game of patience, waiting for these youngsters to come out of the grass. They might not. They've been very, very playful, literally just rolling on top of each other, biting each other, then go standing on mom, and then jumping from her onto the other one. Jump might be a bit of a big word to use there, more like tumbling down onto the other one, but very, very playful. Of course, I don't think this is going to last too long. Being so small, I can imagine they get tired very quickly. It's amazing how well they blend in with the grass there, isn't it? And if she wasn't there, you'd barely know there are baby youngsters there, except for the movement. But if they were lying still, I want them to come down very badly. Yes, they're cute. And she is stunning. What a gorgeous lioness. Actually, what a nice view. See how the little youngster on the left is raising itself up? It might just pounce on the sibling. Isn't it just the cutest little... Wow. Like literally wow. That's all I can say for today. That's adorable. So we were chatting about it a little bit earlier. Of course, we don't know whether it's a male or female just yet. I mean, we haven't really been able to, explore that too much. I am hoping that both of these are females. I'm hoping that she introduces them to the pride. Oh, look at the gentle paw going on to the young. So I'm pretty sure she'll probably start cleaning her now, start grooming the baby, and just playing with her softly. See that she's hugging it. Oh, cool. The other one's jealous, is just jumping on top of the mom. Also wants to be hugged. See there? Yeah. Wow. So of course they play with each other, and then what often happens is the one bites the other one a little bit too hard, and they still want to pay, but they just got, hurt a little bit. So they'll often go to mom for reassurance and then start playing with the mom again. And you often find them playing with the mom's tail. Give it some time, they might just climb on top of her. And here we are with, Africa's apex predator. And look how gentle she is with her kids, with her little cubs. It's awesome. Absolutely amazing. Camo Pug is saying her heart is butter right now. I couldn't describe it in a better way, Camo Pug. I've had a phenomenal day. I've enjoyed this immensely. Here comes the other youngster again. Very, very, very playful. Oh, she just got knocked over by the mom. Bit of a paw there to the side. Tackling each other right on the mom's arm onto her face. As mothers, kudos to you guys. I think you have the most patience ever. Barry, what are the main threats to these cubs? Barry, literally everything. Snakes, lions, leopards, hyenas, caracal, cheetah. Honestly, it's nearly like the world is against them. If an elephant finds them, they'll kill it. Baboons find them, they'll kill it. It's a tough thing. There are so many threats facing these babies, which is why she is so alert. It was just one Franklin call and her head was up. I'm staying in that direction, so yeah. Very, very vulnerable little things. Of course, which is why we haven't really been seeing them. They wouldn't come out of the den by themselves yet, being this young. See how she's lifting her legs? It means they'll probably drink or try drink from that side. Maybe just jump over mom. Or go around. Really up to you. I don't think it's big enough yet to go straight over mom. Maybe. Just thinking about it. Or they're just playing. But so every time they come close to her, she'll lift her leg, thinking they want milk. Okay, with the sun dropping so quickly, I don't think I'm going to spend too much time here still. It's cooling down rather quickly. So of course when, other predators start moving around, things like hyena and stuff, I don't want to draw too much attention with us sitting here. So I think I might leave her in the next 2 minutes. And then, I don't know, we'll definitely be seeing them again. This is just absolutely stunning. And they've disappeared. Oh, there's back. How badly do you want to be that lioness right now? Oh, it's trying to get over. There we go, right on top. Looks like a little female. And down. That looks like a little male. Okay, so we've got a male and a female. There we go. So the little female's just watching the teat. She's almost trying to drag the leg back and open again. Oh, she's adorable. So the female's now playing with the little male. And then the little female's the one trying to drink. Oh, wow. No, I'm more interested in playing with mom and each other. But all this, I mean, even from this age is, good practice for them. Just playing. This would be good hunting techniques as they get older. You learn by playing. Yes, those paws are so tiny. She's still very spotty, of course. And once they get older, they'll lose majority of the spots and go the tawny color. It's also so funny just watching the paws up in the air. Right on top of the mom's face. Okay, so we're going to leave her, let them be. But for now, yeah, we'll make our way out of here. We're going to send you to James. He's got a baby hippo out of the water. It's a baby day.
An invisible baby hippo out of the water. You had to stay with the lions. There was no question that you should have come here instead of being with those baby lions. But there was a little hippo out the water. Let's wait 3 minutes and see if he doesn't come back out. He was having a great time with his mum outside the water there. While we wait, some of you will be aware that I went to the Cayman Islands earlier this year to do a talk. And Cayman is locked down now as well. They only have 19 cases, I'm told, by my friend Donald Lloyd. And I just want to say a quick hello to Julie, who is Don's wife, or Don is Julie's husband. And Julie is unfortunately in bed. She's been in bed for 3 weeks with a really bad back, which must be very difficult, especially during lockdown. So I hope you get better soon, Julie. And I'm glad that you are enjoying the safaris from your magnificent island out there in the Caribbean, where I'm glad to see that COVID seems to have been virtually kept at bay. See what I did there? Get well soon, Julie. Naturally, these hippopotami have now gone to hide underneath a bush. But they are playing. They are playing under the bush. They are porpoising. And releasing gas, either from their mouths, their bottoms, or from the mud on the floor. keep looking around expectantly, hoping Tandi's going to emerge from the bushes. So far she hasn't, otherwise I'd have told you, and BK, so that you could film them. Look, BK, here come the little grebes. The charmer, hippos come onto land every night. They must go and eat on land, and they will graze every day. So they go grazing on the land every single day. These little guys are much better at swimming than their counterparts, I think, in the other waterhole. They seem to do a bit more diving. Beautiful evening sounds here. The francolins, puffing hippos, doves, of course. Underrated, beautiful chorus of the doves all the time. I think there's an elephant coming up behind us. I thought I heard the footfall. I think these little grebes have a really busy day. I mean, you very seldom get to the water and find them just sort of sitting. They're always motoring around trying to find food. They must be very fit. And that high-pitched call is the little grebe calling its mum or dad. And there are the other two. Come back, come back. They're so cute. I'm going to go to the end of the dam wall. We're going to turn around. We're going to do one more loop around here before we start making our weary way home. Only thing lacking here is a gin and tonic. I told you there was an elephant. Hello, Klingon Warbird. What a lovely name you have. You say, how do I deal with noisy people on safari? Well, Klingon Warbird, I tell them to shut up, and then generally that does the trick. I mean, look, they're not happy about it, and they stare at me as though I've insulted them greatly, which, of course, I have. But telling them to shut up in a rude manner and sometimes prefacing it with a "could you please," I find very effective for making people be quiet on a safari. In all seriousness, I have had to do that once or twice, but very seldom. And you will find that safari guests, unless they're total morons, and there are a few, but by and large they're not, they'll take their energy from the guide. And it's one of the first things that we learned at the andBeyond training, or CC Africa training as it was back then, is that although when you start guiding, you're a young guy, you're sort of early 20s mostly, and you are often driving people who are captains of industry, they run massive corporations sometimes. They have hundreds of employees, sometimes thousands of employees working for them. And they're not used to being told what to do. They normally give the orders, and they very seldom receive them. But the power balance shifts very distinctly on a safari vehicle when people are out of their comfort zone. And most people pick that up quickly, and most people draw on the energy of the guide. So if the guide suddenly starts talking like this, they immediately stop making a noise, and they'll lower their voices, even if you just happen to be looking at a bird, and suddenly they'll do that. There are the odd few, of course, who don't pick this up, and then you have to sometimes get a little stern with them and say, look, just explain why you're being quiet. Don't want to be noisy because the elephant's going to react or whatever it is. And then if they don't listen to that, then you've got to give it to them. Would you kindly shut up? That's very effective. very cross francolins behind us. But oft times have we had cross francolins. There's a lovely, lovely picture of an elephant. We'll just enjoy it for a minute longer and then go and see if we can find what caused the consternation with the francolins. It may well be a leopard about to arrive here. Oh, he's going to have a swim. Oh, that's fun, isn't it? The lovely colours there. Purely for entertainment. There's no other reason for this elephant to be getting in the water. They don't do it for bathing. They don't do it because he has to drink like that. He's not doing it because he has to desperately get to the other side. He's doing it for fun. Quite deep. Eric the poet has just told us a very hilarious joke. He says, I hope he packed his trunks. Thank you, Eric. All right, let's go to the end of the damn wall and turn it off. Eric, you should write a book. Collection of poems and jokes. All right, let's go to Trishana. It would seem that Tingana has not been particularly forthcoming.
He definitely was not. I am upset, hopefully not visibly. That is all I have to say. He has gone flat in that block, right? I said to you, and has not moved. But I still have hope. You know me. I still have hope. No signs, no signals. There were some alarm calls when he was still in the move in that block, and since he's gone flat, nothing. And I have been hanging out there. But if he does come across, I think he will go south on Gallagher, shortcut, and then end up on quarantine. That's my feeling about his movements. But yes, I'm a little bit sad. But that's okay. It's okay. The evening is now sitting upon us. Emily, you'd like to know which animal sighting I still get most excited about? All of them, still, Emily. All of them. I still get excited about finding a chameleon. I still get excited about finding a little owlet. Hyenas, leopards, lions. Even the potential to find them excites me. And all of them. Absolutely all of them. I'm not saying anything bad about impala, but they're just smidgen less exciting. I would love to move this while I show you, but it's going to be embarrassing because it's full of thorns. Let's see if we can do it. Ah, not bad at all. What were you teasing me about there, Kirst? I do get excited about a fungus sighting. I do. I love it seeing a mushroom sprout up. It's just amazing. But all of those things I love. Even some frogs. Frogs are really cool. Ooh, when alates come out in summer, that's just gorgeous. And you get scorpions and frogs and all of that hanging out in one mound, trying to scoop up as many alates as they can. Those are the reproductive castes of termites. That's really exciting. Very cool. Alright, I'm going to send you over to Marcel for his afternoon effect of the day. I suppose it'll be different to the fact that Tingana may not come into Djuma.
Can just do it. Hi guys, so that was absolutely wonderful. I mean, just exquisite. I'm actually just rather speechless, which is good because now it is Marcel's turn to talk to all of you. Marcel?
Thanks, Rowan. So, the 18th dynasty of ancient Egypt was the longest running of all the dynasties. That was from 1550 BC to about 1299 BC. It started with Ahmosis I and ended with Horemheb. And then also it was the only dynasty that had two female pharaohs, with both Hatshepsut and then also Neferuaten. Thanks.
Thank you, Marcel. I think he picks the most difficult names so that no one can Google it and check this fact. Thanks, Marcel. Even Kirst is showing she's going to remember that for the rest of her life. How beautiful is the backdrop? Sun setting over the Drakensberg Mountains. Okay. Let's go north. I actually don't know what else I can achieve today. I'm very, very happy with what I just saw, what we got to experience. That was incredible. There's a hyena coming. You can see him hobbling along. Let's see where he goes. Go. Yeah, actually. No, now he's looking at what we're doing. So we move backwards for the hyena. Then he stops and stares at us. Quickly see if I can find him for you guys. There he is. Right, if you just look straight in front of the guari bush, he's actually stopped and looked at us. Yeah, there. Even that is crazy camouflage, isn't it? It blends in very well. He also wanted to hear Marcel's fun fact. Good. Good timing. Chris is saying the lighting is so pink and beautiful. I agree. Oh, there you go. Come to us. So it doesn't look like he's on the scent of anything. Don't know what spooked it. There was a jackal there earlier, black jackal, so maybe I just heard that. But he doesn't really look like he's on the scent of anything. He looks more like he's investigating what we are doing. Oh, he's sniffing us. There's actually a beautiful shot with the grass in front of it. I'm telling you, the camera helps a lot, because if we look at it now, you can barely see it. The light from the camera makes it quite possible. See, and so this is one of the reasons why we decided to leave the lioness with the youngsters, is because hyenas like investigating what vehicles are looking at, because often we look at other predators that have carcasses Spur asking if I have a favorite wildlife film. Spur, I'll be honest, I don't know if you watched the new David Attenborough series, Dynasties. That honestly just blew my mind. I mean, I think I've watched each and every one about 11 times now, and just every single time is magnificent. The cinematography in there is mind-blowing. I hope a lot of you have watched it. Really good. See, I was starting to look around. I was trying to figure out what we're looking at. I was sniffing around, seeing if there's any carcass, any sign of a predator. It's actually coming in quite slowly. Like Chris is saying, from Dynasty, the wild dogs are her favorite. That episode. I'll be honest, I don't know. I can't really choose a favorite. The lions, I mean, it was quite sad as well, quite a hard-fought documentary. So, to give an idea, this is exactly where we just did the fun fact from Marcel. Nothing here, I'm sorry to disappoint you. We're actually watching you, not anything else. I once had a guest describe them as they look very naughty, but they look very sad.
Such gentle eyes.
Very gentle eyes, actually. Yeah, so all attention focused on us. You can even see the ears are not facing any other direction, looking straight at us. It's not quite spotty. Not too old. Even Lou, I think I owe you an apology. Apparently, no, actually, Chris owes you an apology. Apparently, Lou has a video of the two porcupines. Not photos, but a video. But she says this one looks quite sad. Well, I mean, I think it had its hopes up, thinking we might be looking at some sort of other predator, and there might be a carcass in the area. And then he gets here, and there's just nothing. Okay, so Chris did apologize to Lou. So all is right in the world. See, now he's trying to sniff something else. Of course, any sound or any scent in the breeze coming past, and they lift their noses into the wind. And the sounds you're hearing behind us, of course, impalas still ratting. Kathy's asked why we don't ever see brown hyenas. Kathy, we just don't have brown hyenas here on andBeyond in Ngala. We've never seen them here. Well, I've never seen them here. I think we've got such a strong, number of spotted hyenas that brown hyenas will actually struggle a lot to survive in this area. I think our clans of spotted hyenas are just too big. But if you go to areas such as, Madikwe, you will definitely see brown hyena. There goes the light. There goes the hyena again. But yeah, Kathy, quite a very interesting animals to see, brown hyenas. A lot furrier, and they don't actually live in clans. They are more solitary compared to spotted hyenas. Impalas coming from everywhere now. Okay, this one's very indecisive. Going right, going left, going right. He just wants to investigate us some more. Butterfly says Hyena is looking for a ride home. Well, I'm going to have to find a different view. Do you want to share your seat, Marcel?
Yeah, I'll be fine with it.
Marcel says he'll share. You can see the impalas running in the background there now. The male's chasing it. Hyena's taking no notice. More interested in riding home with Marcel. To sit on your lap or in the seat next to you.
I'll scratch his ear while he's next to me.
Marcel says he'll scratch his ear. It's very, very nice of you, very polite. Yes, isn't that just a stunning picture? Drakensberg Mountain, the sunset, and the hyena. Bob thinks we have biltong in our car. Bob, I'm very sorry to disappoint you. And actually myself, there is no biltong left here at the lodge. But, yeah. I mean, and it's 5:45 already, so by this stage in the drive, if there were biltong, it would be long gone by now. Don't know what he's seeing behind us. We haven't moved at all, but you can see the head is dipping and it's actually moving back. But I can't see anything approaching from behind. Just guess it doesn't want to ride home anymore. Also, apparently he does not want his ears scratched. That's a pity. That would have been quite fun to watch. Chris is saying the sky is stunning. Honestly, an African sunset, you just cannot go wrong. And the best part about my day is I get to watch the sunrise and then the sunset again, and it just looks like this in the east and in the west every single day. And what a wonderful day it's been. Okay. No, turns out he didn't want to lift. He just wanted a nap. Okay, well, we're going to leave him there. Let him sleep for a while, or she. And then we'll continue a little bit further north. Thanks for the entertainment. Okay, so while we carry on driving, we're going to send you to James, who's doing exactly the same.
Yes, I am doing the exact same thing as us, but there's an elephant here who is very unhappy that we've come driving past him. PK, they'd like to see him. Oh, yes, infrared. In 3, 2, 1. Oh, he is revealed. We sat at the waterhole for a long time and heard nothing, saw nothing, and so I don't know what made the Franklins shout, but whatever it was didn't pitch up at the dam. So as per usual, we must start again with our leopard search tomorrow morning. Oh dear, many of you are very upset that we haven't visited Ribbon's Den in the last 2 days. We have. I visited it, sure I went there yesterday morning and there was no one home. In fact, I definitely did. Or yesterday afternoon, one of the two, and there was no one home. It was yesterday morning. And we went and looked around at all the other den sites, didn't find them active. So she just was out. But yes, I agree, we are due for a visit there. Now, let us remember this elephant. He's got a nick out of his right ear. He's just interested in why we're here and what we want. I've put him on about 16. It's allowing me to turn my lights off, Philip. There you are. Turn the front lights off. I've always hoped that one of these elephants would reach out with his trunk and I'd be able to reach out and touch him on the end of the trunk. It's a ridiculous hope, and it's not something that should be encouraged or even tried, but I just have this wild fantasy of it happening. It's not something that should be tried, though. These are wild animals. Our beard has made, I'm sure he won't be insulted by my saying a dad joke. I'm saying we should call this elephant Nicky, sort of a Nicky. case you think we're blocking his path, we actually drove past him, and he chose to come and have this little chat with us. You are a very big fellow, yes. But you're not very terrifying just yet. Tony, you say his name is not Nick. Could be. Nicky or not Nicky. Quite complicated dressage move there you've just pulled, young Ellie. If you did it at a canter, it'd be called a half pass. And over a bush. A little leg yield. See if you can do it at a canter. Now he's feeling shy. Thank you for that, Mr. Elephant. I must appreciate it. Much appreciated. As well as must appreciated. But I much appreciate it. Now there are other elephants shouting in the distance. And again, apparently there's a big herd of elephants in front of the dam. In camp, or near camp. We aren't anywhere near there, I'm afraid, but if Trish's, maybe she'd like to go along there. It's always lovely. This time of the evening to have elephants at a waterhole is just special. Right, let's put our lights back on so we can see what's going on in the world. Don't want to miss our leopard and cubs, do we? He says longingly. Whiskey, Mrs. G, there's the only way to cope with it. You know, a lot of whiskey at night helps you to forget. That's the way it's done generally. So, you know, during lockdown it's been quite difficult because there isn't any whiskey available. Mrs. G, you know, it used to really bug me when I'll be totally honest with you, it used to really kind of get me down when I was a guide and I had guests in the back of the vehicle and the same question would come, this with a slightly different accent every day. So, James, what's the most dangerous thing that's ever happened to you? So, James, tell us, what's the most dangerous thing that's ever happened to you? Oh, James, it's lovely to be out here. What's the most dangerous thing that ever happened to you? And you'd answer politely, because these people were paying obscene amounts of money for the pleasure of your company. I must say, though, on these live drives, yes, we do get asked a lot of the same questions, a lot of the time. But there's so many other questions in between those that it really doesn't bug me anymore. I suppose, you know, when you had 6 guests on the vehicle, they would ask you the same questions, and there'd actually be very little variation at all in what was asked over the course of a 3-day safari with 6 people. But on these drives, with so many people watching, yes, there are repeats, of course, especially from the kids. But there's so many other interesting things to talk about in between. And also, you know, although we do try and find the big animals, the agenda is much more in my court than it used to be when I was a safari guide. When, you know, you'd ask your 6 guests what they wanted to see and then you'd go and look for it. Whereas here, there's a certain amount of that, but there's very much, I'm looking for what I choose to look for. And the conversations generally revolve around that. So, I don't know, it just doesn't bug me anymore. I'm not sure why. Well, other than for the reasons that I've just given you. Also, for the kids, you just have to. And you cannot get irritated by getting kids' questions that are the same ones from time to time, because it's so utterly important that we answer kids and inculcate them with a sense of nature and a love for nature as much as possible. And that's definitely come with maturity. So, obviously when I was 20 years old, I'm not particularly patient now, but when I was 25, I really was deeply impatient. And, with maturity, you realize how crucial it is that no matter how many times the kids ask you similar sorts of questions, normally in a different kind of a way, you answer with the same energy, even if it's exactly the same answer, because it's really important. That's just come with time. They say the 20s are your stupidest decade. Hopefully the 40s are slightly more intelligent than the 20s. Let us go to Trishala. She has not driven guests yet, and I think that it's about time that she did, actually.
Oh, James, I really enjoyed driving the wonderful viewers around. I do. I enjoy telling you my scientific thoughts and all of that. I really do. I definitely think pursuit of the sciences is more likely to happen before guiding guests. Well, as you can tell, Tingana is not with me. I'm actually glad you guys were chatting about Ribbon's Den and how we haven't visited it in a while. I visited this morning. She was not there, and mine actually intended to have a look today, and then caught up with potentially seeing Tingana. So humblest apologies, but we are definitely in for some time at the den. Definitely. As you know, she's not there when we can't spend time. I've been really wanting to have a good time with the cubs before I go. Tomorrow morning's my last drive for the stint. So I hope that I'll be able to show you those guys. Anyway, if you do love to be on board with me and James and everyone else, please do follow the prompts on your screen so that you can support us. If you'd like to, we would certainly appreciate it. Who else am I going to tell all my scientific things to? Darby doesn't care. No, my spotlight doesn't care either. Terry, you saying when last do we have to see Strokey and Pokey? He's here, but I'm reluctant to bring Strokey out if Pokey is not here. Unfortunately, I was using Pokey to clean sand and dust out of the connection for my phone charging bit. You know that bit. So Pokey is in my room, but I think tomorrow she'll have Strokey, Pokey, and Pegasus aboard so we can have an epic drive. What do you say? I say so. A number of others have been added to my collection. Instruments, that is, not stuffed toys. That I shall also bring along for the ride. I have a loose wire, everyone. I'm sure you already knew that. Cat 3, you say you'd happily be a guest in any of my vehicles? Well, I'd happily have you on board. I really would. I think working in hospitality and customer service and that kind of thing at university and high school and all of that has put a dampener shall we say, on, you know, looking after people in that kind of way. I really, really like education, particularly science education, wildlife education, interactive education, which is basically what we get to do. Is that an ellie up ahead, or is it a termite mound? I can't see without my... Oh, it's a termite mound. Oh well. This morning I found a chameleon on this road. So perhaps I will find it again, and today, or tonight, it'll be a true test of my chameleon finding skills, since I have 0 spotlight. Let me just very quickly see what I can do here. Ah, there we go. We have a wiring problem. Okay, while I find my chameleon, I'll send you back over to James. Do you have some tape, Darby?
Righty, we've got a couple more minutes left of our drive. We're pretty much out of the area where I think Tundi could occur, and so we are just going to drive slowly home. I believe we're having a vegetable dinner this evening. That is very delicious. People keep saying, oh, I hope you like this and I hope you like that. They're all being very polite in camp. Frankly, the fact that I don't have to cook my dinner is beyond wonderful, so I don't care what they feed me most of the time. As long as it's not coriander stew. This is a lovely piece of road, this. Here we go. Phew, winded. BK, you still there? Eleanor, we have a special permit to travel. So those who are coming in and those who are going out will have a special permit to travel. With the South African Police Service the way it is, it's anyone's guess as to whether or not we'll make it back or not, but we have to try. It should be fine. There are lots of people who have travelled and had no problem at all, so I'm sure it'll be okay. Miss Anamandras, you say you love coriander. We've had this discussion, I think, Miss Anamandras. You know it's a genetic thing, don't you, that some people find the taste of coriander utterly repellent because it don't taste the same as it does to people like Miss Anamandras, to whom it tastes very nice. So it's a genetic difference. I actually think they've isolated the gene. How very useful. Presumably it does something other than just make coriander taste bad or good. But who knows what that is. All right, everybody, thank you for your questions and comments, as always. Delightful conversations throughout the day. Wonderful elephants, wonderful lions. And I hope that we'll see you again at 0600 tomorrow. Until then, stay safe and happy. Bye-bye.